560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And this topic arose toward the end of the debate, and I'm afraid most people had perhaps turned it off by then. But it's an important topic, and Joe Biden is either confused on the matter of ballot integrity or just willfully blind to it. I don't know which. But President Trump responding again to an inquiry from Chris Wallace that started from the left's position about ballot integrity and legitimate concerns about a fair election.
Urging my people. I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election, I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that.
Right. And what exactly is wrong with that position? Joe Biden's response was effectively people mail in their ballots just like President Trump is going to mail his ballot to Florida. I'm sorry, that's not the issue. The issue is not absentee ballot voting, customary absentee ballot voting. The issue, as President Trump actually did point out, is not unsolicited ballot applications and the ballot harvesting that we're seeing going on associated with that, the additional slack it puts in the system, and perhaps in some jurisdictions more so than others. We've seen the Project Veritas undercover video about what may be happening in Minneapolis that now the Minneapolis Police Department said they're investigating. We mentioned the story of Biden's political director in Texas being involved in allegations of illegal ballot harvesting in Harris County in Texas. So these are real issues in addition to what we know about the quality of record maintenance and even election administration in certain jurisdictions in certain states. And we've seen it play out in real time in Paterson, New Jersey, and New York State and Clark County, Nevada. So this is not, just an idea. Like Antifa is just an idea.
It's not real. It's just a movement.
Ballot integrity is not just an idea either. It's a real, legitimate, substantive concern. For more on this and other matters, we're pleased to be joined again by Quin Hillyer, commentary writer for Washington Examiner, WashingtonExaminer.com. Quin, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Glad to be on, y'all.
And you wrote about this per a report by Reuters that really essentially insinuated racist motives among respected former FEC commissioners and DOJ attorneys like our friend Hans von Spakovsky at the Heritage Foundation. The Reuters outlet writing, let me just quote here, that Republican Party affiliated lawyers like those I mentioned have sought purges of voter rolls that could disproportionately affect minority voters who tend to vote for the Democratic Party, according to voting rights activists and election officials who have opposed these efforts. Purges of voter rolls of people who are illegally on the voter rolls, regardless of their race, but of course it's being forced through the prism of race.
That Reuters piece is not the left-wing and media line that voter fraud is almost non-existent. That's not just nuts, it's a lie. I could cite chapter and verse, but what they particularly did in the Reuters piece is tried to make it, as you say, sound like some sort of nefarious racist plot to want to have clean elections. And the people they're accusing that are Christopher Coates, who started out as a big civil rights liberal and had a whole career enforcing civil rights laws. You had J. Christian Adams, who there are black members of the the Georgetown County, I think it is, South Carolina school board that are there only because of the work that Christian Adams did going against vote fraud that was denying black people their proper representation. I could go on and on. The fact is that these people are not racists. They have fought racism their whole careers.
Well, and again, and sorry to interrupt, but the story out, even in the New York Times over the last couple of days, is it white supremacists in charge of the New York State elections, New York City elections? Because if not, then how do you explain people getting absentee ballots with the wrong names and addresses on them? I mean, these are actual things that are happening.
These are actual things that are happening, and but back when absentee balloting, which is actually perfectly legit, as you have described, when absentee balloting tended to be more the province of Republicans and Democrats, the New York Times, this is about 10 years ago, was saying we should really crack down on absentee balloting because all sorts of mail-in balloting, they said, were more susceptible to fraud. Now, that was the New York Times 10 years ago, but now that the left has started all this vote harvesting stuff, which is fraud, now they say, oh, there's no fraud at all. It's nonsense. It's hypocritical. It's dishonest.
One other thing about this, I just wonder if you think that there's a possibility the left gets hoist by their own petard on this issue. And the reason I say that is because of just the spoil rate on mail-in voting, particularly first-time mail-in ballots, as compared to voting in person. So they're driving everybody to send their ballots in by mail. And, yeah, maybe there's illegal ballot harvesting programs going on like those I referenced. But at the end of the day, you're going to have a much greater spoilage rate of those ballots for failure to fill them out properly and so forth than you will likely in-person balloting, and that could end up being detrimental to Biden's chances.
Well, it could be, and that's if you have honest people running the mail-in ballot counting thing, and therefore throwing out the ballots that are spoiled or are bad. If you have honest poll commissioners or whatever you call them, then yes, the spoilage rate can be terrible. Again, it was 223,000 spoiled ballots, mail-in ballots in Las Vegas in this spring's primaries. The ongoing thing in New York, as you mentioned, widespread screw-ups where the printing company printed the ballot, the internal ballot envelope, which is the official thing that goes in, had different names on it than the name of the people that the ballots were mailed to. So
that was in Brooklyn, right? The 100,000 ballots.
Yeah. Well, 500,000 applications came in for mail-in ballots in New York, and I believe it was Brooklyn. They don't know how widespread. How many of those 500,000 applications were sent illegal or improper ballots like that, badly printed ballots, put it that way. But the New York Times itself said it was, quote, widespread. And, it could be 150,000.
And then you still have the issue. I mean, there's certain states where you have to have your mail-in ballot postmarked on Election Day, but also they can arrive within 2 weeks after the election. So we're not going to know for a long time probably who's going to be the next president.
Well, the latest trick of the left is even in states where state law specifically says all mail-in ballots must arrive by close of polls on Election Day. Yeah. They have found friendly judges to go and say, I don't care what state law is, that's not fair, according to whatever fair is in their mind. And so blow off state law. We're going to say that those ballots can come in a week or even 2 weeks late. Usually saying at least they have to be postmarked by Election Day. One, I can't remember if it was Pennsylvania or North Carolina, but one of them, the judge said, they don't even have to be postmarked by Election Day. So you could have people go and stuff mail-in ballot boxes, as it were, 2 days after the election and have it counted.
That's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. It's so flagrantly dishonest.
And one of the ways that the left is prosecuting that case on the postmarking is to send out the ballot applications with postage on them, so that so then there is no postmark because it's been sent with postage. So you send it back, and they say, well, wait a second, you can't disenfranchise people just because there's not a postage mark, because we sent out the ballot applications to them with the postage stamped envelope, and then they send it back. So we have to err on the side of providing the benefit of the doubt.
Well, here's the problem when they go to these systems of unsolicited mail-in ballots. So basically, they proactively mail the ballots to people that haven't even requested them, and the people have a choice of either sending a mail-in ballot or going to vote in person. Well, if the list maintenance is bad, then they send ballots to people that are dead, that are, that have moved or whatever, but those ballots arrive in somebody's mailbox. The vote harvesters go around and fill them out for non-existent people and send them in. And the most famous example of that, luckily the owners of this house were honest and reported it, but the most famous example came from your area up in Chicago about 10 or 12 years ago, when a ballot was literally mailed to somebody named Princess Noodleman. The problem was Princess Noodleman was a goldfish, and the other problem was that Princess Noodleman, the goldfish, was dead.
Yeah.
You had a
And
dead
Princess can't
goldfish be mailed a ballot. So either animals can vote now, or dead people can vote now, or both. But that's what happens with widespread unsolicited mail-in balloting.
Hey, listen, we don't appreciate you discriminating against dead goldfish in our elections.
I
That's how we do it.
I am biased against goldfish voting, and I am biased against dead entities voting. And I will, and if you want to criticize me for that, go ahead.
He is Quin Hillyer, commentary writer for Washington Examiner, WashingtonExaminer.com. Thanks for joining us again, Quin.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
And it feels so good. You switch to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Fifth Season Financial is a licensed lender, not available in all states. Visit fifthseasonfinancial.com for details.
Are you or a loved one suffering financial hardship as a result of an advanced stage illness like cancer, Alzheimer's, or ALS? Are the financial side effects of your medical fight reducing your quality of life and causing stress and worry? Did you know that you could be eligible for a special loan to access funds locked up in your life insurance policy? Text the word LIFE to 4